The photo appeared without warning. Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin, hand in hand, smiling under the California sun. It looked like any other celebrity sighting, yet for those who had followed the complicated triangle between Dakota, Chris, and Jamie Dornan, it felt like a lightning strike. Within hours, social media exploded. "She's back with Chris," headlines screamed. But beneath the noise, one question echoed louder than the rest. How did Jamie Dornan react when the woman he once shared undeniable chemistry with, on and off screen, found her way back to someone else? For nearly a decade, the connection between Jamie and Dakota had been something both mysterious and magnetic. From the moment they appeared together in 50 Shades of Grey, fans could sense something more than acting. The tension, the laughter, the tenderness, it all felt too natural. Even in interviews, when they teased each other playfully, there was an invisible current flowing between them. They were partners in fiction, but to millions watching, they seemed like soulmates who met in the wrong life. Then came real life, and reality doesn't follow scripts. Dakota began her relationship with Coldplay frontman Chris Martin, and Jamie remained devoted to his wife, Amelia Warner. Still, the rumors never faded. Every glance they shared at a red carpet reunion, every comment left on social media, became fuel for speculation. Fans built a story that neither of them ever confirmed but never quite denied. And now, with Dakota and Chris seemingly together again, those same fans couldn't help but wonder, how did Jamie feel when he saw the woman who had once understood him so deeply return to another man's arms? At a recent film festival in London, Jamie made an appearance that caught everyone's attention. He smiled for the cameras, as always, but there was something different this time. His eyes, usually bright and full of warmth, carried a shadow. When a reporter casually mentioned Dakota's name during a red carpet interview, he hesitated. Just for a second, then came the polite answer. "I wish her all the happiness in the world." Simple, gracious, but to those who knew how to listen, it sounded like the voice of someone saying goodbye, again. People close to Jamie say that despite the distance and the years, Dakota still occupies a quiet space in his heart. They share a bond that never really faded, not romantic, perhaps, but something deeper. A sense of understanding, built during those long filming days when the line between character and reality blurred. "She saw a side of him no one else did," one crew member once said. "They didn't need to talk much, they just got each other." And that's what makes her reunion with Chris Martin so complicated for Jamie. It's not jealousy, it's nostalgia. The ache of what could have been, if life had unfolded differently. While Dakota and Chris looked radiant in new paparazzi shots, laughing at a cafe, walking through Malibu with matching sunglasses, Jamie was spotted arriving at Heathrow Airport the same day, looking thoughtful, his phone in hand, scrolling. A coincidence? Maybe, but fans were quick to notice that he had recently liked a fan post featuring an old behind-the-scenes photo of him and Dakota laughing during the 50 Shades shoot. It wasn't much, just a tap on a screen, yet the internet caught it immediately. "Jamie's still thinking of her," one fan wrote. "He always will." The truth is, Jamie has always spoken about Dakota with a kind of protective fondness. In interviews, he calls her a dear friend, a wonderful person, someone who means a lot. Never anything scandalous, never crossing lines. Yet, there's always a softness in his tone, as if every word carries a memory he still cherishes. So when he was asked recently about relationships changing with time, Jamie's answer felt heavier than usual. "People come into your life and change you forever. Even if you move on, a part of them stays. Always." The clip went viral overnight. Fans flooded the comments. "He's talking about Dakota. Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't." But everyone who watched could feel the truth in his voice. The quiet sadness of a man who had learned that some connections never truly fade, no matter how much time or distance stands between them. And perhaps that's why, as Dakota smiled again beside Chris Martin, Jamie chose silence. Not because he was angry. Not because he wanted her back. But because sometimes, love doesn't end in flames. It fades into a soft ache, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. He watched from afar, as the world celebrated Dakota's happy ending. But deep down, maybe a part of him whispered what many of us have felt before: I'm glad she's happy. I just wish it could have been me. When the world saw Dakota Johnson back in Chris Martin's arms, it was just another headline. Another Hollywood romance rekindled. But for Jamie Dornan, it meant something entirely different. It wasn't about jealousy or bitterness. It was about timing, memories, and the kind of unspoken connection that never really disappears. In the weeks that followed the reunion photos, Jamie stayed quiet. No comments, no interviews. But silence, as always, speaks louder than words. Then came a moment that changed everything. A live interview during the promotion of his latest film. The interviewer, perhaps too curious, asked casually, "Jamie, do you still keep in touch with Dakota Johnson?" There was a pause. Jamie smiled politely, but his eyes softened. "We shared a lot together," he began slowly. "Some things stay with you, even when life takes you in different directions." The studio went silent. It wasn't what he said, it was how he said it. There was tenderness in his tone, a kind of regret wrapped in gratitude. He wasn't just talking about a former co-star. He was talking about someone who had once been a mirror to his soul. Moments later, he added quietly, "I'm happy for her. Truly, she deserves peace." And that was it. One sentence, yet it carried the weight of years. Fans online immediately sensed the emotion behind his words. The clip went viral within hours. Comments flooded in. "You can hear the heartbreak in his voice. He's trying so hard to be strong." Jamie and Dakota were soulmates in another lifetime. People who had followed their journey from 50 Shades days knew exactly what those words meant. Jamie wasn't the kind of man to dramatize his feelings, but his quiet sincerity had always been his tell. And now, that same sincerity revealed what his heart had never said out loud: that he still carried her somewhere deep inside. Meanwhile, Dakota and Chris's renewed relationship seemed to bloom effortlessly. They attended charity events, went to dinner with friends, and were photographed smiling as if no years had passed between them. For the public, it was a beautiful reconciliation. For Jamie, perhaps it was closure, or the closest thing to it he would ever get. Insiders later revealed that Jamie had once told a friend, "Some people leave, and you spend years trying to forget them. But others, you just learn to live with the ache." That single line echoed across fan pages, quickly turning into the most shared quote of the week. He wasn't angry. He wasn't resentful. He was just reflective. Watching Dakota return to her old love forced him to confront the truth that what they shared belonged to a specific time and place, and maybe that was enough. But the universe has a strange sense of irony. Just a few days after Dakota and Chris's reunion, Jamie appeared on stage at a gala to receive a humanitarian award. During his speech, his voice wavered slightly when he said, "I've learned that life gives you moments, some bright, some painful, but all of them shape who you become. And sometimes, the people who leave your life are still the ones who make you better." The crowd applauded, unaware of the quiet storm behind those words. Later that evening, back in his hotel room, Jamie posted a rare Instagram story, a black and white photo of a sunset with a simple caption, "To the ones who changed us." He deleted it within an hour, but by then, fans had already captured it. The image spread across Twitter like wildfire. Underneath, one comment stood out. "Maybe love doesn't need a second chance. Maybe it just needs to be remembered." And perhaps that's exactly how Jamie felt. He didn't need Dakota back. He only needed to honor what they once had: the laughter, the chemistry, the trust, the years of understanding. It was never about possession, it was about connection. As days passed, Jamie returned to work, smiling again, focusing on new projects. Yet, those who know him say there's still a certain melancholy that never quite fades, a trace of emotion that appears when her name comes up. One director said, "He gets this faraway look, like he's remembering a place he can never go back to." Maybe that's what love does when it doesn't end badly, it simply stays unfinished. And as Dakota walks hand in hand with Chris Martin, building her new chapter. Jamie remains a quiet observer, proud, wistful, and perhaps still wondering what might have been. Because sometimes, love stories don't end with betrayal or goodbye. Sometimes, they end with silence, the kind that lingers long after the curtain falls. Jamie once said in an interview, "Every role teaches me something about love." But maybe, in this case, it wasn't a role at all. Maybe Dakota was the lesson. The reminder that not every connection is meant to last forever. Some are meant to stay as the most beautiful memory you'll never forget. And as the cameras fade and the world moves on, Jamie Dornan smiles quietly. Not out of happiness, not out of regret, but with acceptance. Because in the end, love isn't about who stays. It's about who leaves, and still takes a piece of you with them.